Hey folks, how y'all doing? As you can see, it looks a little different than the last few videos that I've done, which were more off the cuff. We're trying now to create more of like a format videos where the videos will have a little bit more of a similar look and feel, a little bit more, I guess you would call it professional feel. But we want them to have, certain subjects that we'll cover, be it announcements, be it Q&A, which this video is a Q&A type video. So the other day, what I did was I did post about, asking you folks after watching Hell's Paradise. I said, what style do you guys prefer more? Because I saw something on Twitter. Somebody was posting some video from some of the stuff from the 90s. And I posted up there and I said, hey, compare this to Bubblegum Crisis or AD Police or any of the classics. What do you think? What do you prefer? Some people really do prefer the old school, and some were kind of like, the big budget animes of the past, don't compare to the big budget animes of now, that the newer ones are even better if they have the right budget. And I wanted to give my insights or my take on it. Basically, I kind of agree with everyone in many ways, in that, first of all, it really does come down to budget and money. In the 90s and in the 2000s, especially even before that, the 80s, this type of anime was not really being financed in a big way. The market was solely Japan. And even in Japan, some of the more extreme videos, some of the more out there videos were definitely not getting the same, support that some of the other ones were. So they couldn't do a TV. They couldn't do bigger shows, with all the manga, trying to animate the whole manga series. So they focused on shorter stories, and what they would do was create the OVAs, or original video animation, or AVs. And in America, that worked really well because these were less risky. People would license them. They're 2-3 episode series, high quality animation. The story matter is usually better for the US. So people like Ninja Scroll and those would work really well over here. Oh, in Japan, it wasn't really the same. The stories might be a little bit less intense, a little bit, different types of stuff for different types of folks. But this type of animation was doing very well here. Now, what happened then was that the international market started to take off for Japan, especially for the anime, these type of series. But when everyone's paying on a per episode basis, the advances weren't very big compared to what they would generate. So what happened was a lot of these producers said, you know what, we can make a 13 episode series. So what they were doing was taking something that would be a 3 episode budget, making a 13 episode budget. They would get paid more from everyone. It's more content, more views, more of everything. So that was kind of the mindset. It started to become more and more the mindset that the normalcy became more the 13 episode, and the prices, everything went up, but the quality did not stay up. So they stopped producing those shorter series. Except ironically on the adult side, they still were only producing, 2 or 3 episode series. Now, for the other reasons too, besides budget and money, one of the reasons, I went to a museum with one of my friends a long time ago. She explained to me that, when you look at the masters, be it a Van Gogh, be it whoever, you seem to think, a Da Vinci, whoever you think that is, you would look at it and say, it's very photorealistic. It kind of captures the person. And basically, it's also hides some of the problems. So in a sense, it was Photoshop before Photoshop. So, but they were doing that because there were no cameras. There was nothing there. So to preserve these people, they had money. They wanted to put art. They hired these artists to create these portraits. So the portraits were supposed to be photorealistic and even more than photorealistic, give them almost a otherworldly look to them. So that is why that became so popular. You may love that style, but that was the older style. As cameras came around, as technology, you didn't need to do that anymore, she explained. So what happened was, why, make a portrait like that when you could just do it with a camera? Then on top of that, it became a thing of that the artist wanted to have more than simply just be another type of, photorealistic type drawing. They wanted to have their own style, their own, impressionism, Monet, all these kind of things happened over time to give the artist more of what they saw, what they wanted to put out there. So as time went on, so did the styles. And that, I think, also happened in anime. As time went on, the styles changed. They became more, more different than what was in the 90s. It became a different style, which they, every artist had his own style, so you could almost identify to that one, some of the ones. So I think that also happened over time, and some catched on and became very popular, and some did not. The stories were the stories, so that was pretty much there. If it was a good story, it was a good story, which to me is the reason why you watch anime or anything, is really the story. So with that in mind, that is my input of why I think things happened. A question that was put on Facebook that I think was an interesting one by Kevin was one about Kaiju Productions and that label and why, what happened to it.